Hello everybody, thank you for coming, and welcome to our Connect with Control M. My name is Arthur Yates, and I'm a Technical Support Analyst. Today I'm going to discuss the Control M agent with a focus on communication and configuration. By the time I'm finished, you'll be able to troubleshoot communication problems between the Control M agent and the Control M server. Before we begin, let me show you an outline of our agenda. I'm going to show you where the agent fits into your environment. I'm going to talk about the two communication modes available. I'm going to discuss the server and agent utilities and provide suggestions if you have problems. We'll look at a live Control M environment, and then we'll wrap up with a Q&A session. You can post questions on the panel to the right. Let's take a look at the architecture. Here's the diagram of Control M. Up on top, you'll see the familiar Control M Enterprise Manager. This is how users define or see the job status. Below that, we have the Control M server. Well, this is your scheduling engine. This is how jobs are ordered. Then you'll have the Control M agent. This is what submits jobs on behalf of the Control M server. Now, we often see communication issues between the server and the agent. Let's start by looking at the two communication modes of the of the agent. So what we're going to do is go over to Transient Mode. Here we see the Control M server and the Control M agent. When the Control M server wants to submit a job or request to the agent, it's going to open up a connection on the default port 7006. Once the agent receives that request or the job, that connection closes. Then the listener submits the job or request to the background agent processes to run. It's the tracker that monitors the request status. It then opens a new connection to the Control M server on the default port 7005. Once the server receives that information there, then that connection is closed. The server and the agent communicates on the two ports, and these ports are user configurable. Because transient is the default communication mode, there's really nothing to configure. So now let's look at the persistent mode. Here we see our familiar Control M server, Control M agent, and a firewall. Now when the server wants to submit a job or request to the agent, it sends it to the router. It's the agent router that allows the server to maintain that constant connection with the agent. The listener again sends the request to the other agent background processes to run. The tracker monitors the request status and submits the info to the router. Then the router sends the info back to the Control M server on the default port 7006. Now, typically, we use persistent connection when we have either a firewall involved, maybe our agent's in the DMZ, or there's DNS issues. Now let's talk about the configuration utilities. Here we have CCM, which is our Control M Configuration Manager. This is basically a GUI interface tool. What we use it for is to administer or monitor the Control M components. We have CTM AG CFG. This is a command line tool that lets you configure agent parameters. Then we also have CTM_menu. That's also a configuration tool or command line tool that we use to configure the Control M server and agent parameters. Now, if you have problems trying to access a Control M component such as the agent, you can use these tools, the CTM_menu and the CTM AG CFG, as a backup. And then we also have NetStat and Telnet. Well, Telnet is basically an operating system command line based tool used to connect to a remote system. An example would be if you want to make sure a port isn't blocked by a firewall. We also have NetStat, which is a command line based network statistics tool. This will help you check what ports are listening on that host. Now let me discuss our demo environment here. Okay, So I'm going to give you two scenarios here. We have basically we installed a new agent. The jobs are running, but you're getting reports from your department users saying that there's a 15-minute delay getting the job status info. Then we have another scenario where you have an agent in your environment, but you can't even submit jobs to the agent. So what do you do? I'm going to show you why using the Control-M Communications Diagnostics tools is helpful. We're going to explore some Control-M and operating system utilities and the CCM, and then we're going to show you how to troubleshoot communications problems. So now let's switch over to our demo environment. Okay, so that should be coming up shortly for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to explain the environment. You'll notice a black background. That's a Unix Control-M agent. And then the teal background, that's going to represent my Unix Control-M server. I also have installed the EM client, which is on the Windows desktop. And then I also have a Windows agent installed as well. So for the first scenario, we have the problem where we installed a new agent. The jobs run, but the users report a 15-minute delay getting the job status info. So here, I want you to understand that, remember, the agent tracker only opens a connection back to the server when needed. So if that server is behind a firewall or there's misconfiguration between the server and the agent can't open the communication back to the server and has to wait until there's a request from the server for the job status. This is our fail-safe mechanism called the track all. So when you have communication problems appear, what you want to do is run the ag_diag_com, which we're going to do here on our agent. Now, we're noticing a delay, a stall here. While that's happening, let me just point out that we have the port info, which we show is server to agent protocol, the protocol version right here is 10. I just want to point out that the purpose of the protocol version is to be able to connect later releases of Control-M with earlier releases of Control-M. Some advanced functionality may not be available when using a higher version of Control-M agent with a lower version of Control-M server, but you'll have base functionality. So what that means is this. You have a Control-M version 7 server, and then you have a Control-M version 8 agent, which is by default runs on 10. But the server, you can only use basically the Control-M server can only have the highest port available, which is 9. So that means you have to switch the Control-M agent to 9 as a protocol version there. Now we see that this here came back and it shows that it has Unix to ping the server platform succeeded, but the agent ping to Control-M server failed. I'm going to run the equivalent, the CTM_diag_com on the server side to see what's happening. Now, I'm using the argument of my agent, which is CTM_QProd. If you have many agents, you can just use that argument there. When I hit enter, I'm noticing some other information here. So we see here this Unix ping to agent or remote host succeeded, but the CTMS ping to agent or remote host succeeded as well. Let me explain. Basically, what this is saying right here is that my server can ping the agent, and my server can also ping the agent's port. That's why we see succeed for CTMS ping to agent or remote host. However, my agent ping to Control-M server fail. My agent can ping the server since here it says Unix pinged the server, platform succeeded. So that's telling me there's some type of mix match going on. When I look here at the server to agent port number, as I was trying to explain earlier, we see 7006, but the agent to server port number is 7015. Now we see when we look on the server side, let me move this so you guys can see that. Server to agent port number is 7006, but the agent to server port number is 7005. So we have a mix match there. So what we need to do is we can go into the CCM, the Control M Configuration Manager, which I'll bring up here. Now, most of you guys may have many components and it may look similar to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter out for that particular agent, CTM QProd, and here's my agent here. Simply going to right click and choose Control M Agent System Parameters. Now here you'll notice the various parameters that you can configure. And let's see, I'm going to just filter out by the COMM for communication. And here's where we're having the problem, agent to server port number. Now this says 7015, and just to make sure, again, I'm just going to go back to the server, and it says agent to server port number needs to be 7005. So I'm going to make that adjustment. Hit save. Okay. And now, let's see, I'll close that. I'm going to minimize my CCM. And let's see, I'm going to rerun with the up arrow to hit AG underscore diag underscore com. Now that shows that it succeeded. And now I should be able to, when my users, when they check for the job status, they shouldn't see that 15-minute delay there. So now, I'm going to clear this scenario here. Now, the other problem we may have is that you have an agent in your environment and you can't even submit jobs to the agent. So we're having communication problems. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to run the AG underscore diag underscore com. And the problem I'm having this on is a Windows agent. So I'm going to minimize this out your way. Okay, let's see here. And I'm going to run on my Windows agent. I'm going to run the AG underscore diag underscore com. Now, when I hit enter, I'm noticing a delay here. So, on the same side, I'm going to also want to run on the Control M server. While that's running, I'll bring up my Control M server. And then I'm going to run the command, the CTM underscore diag underscore com. But this time, my agent is called CTMQprod-win2. Now, that's running there. Now, when we ran this before, we didn't get this type of long delay. We still see a delay here and a delay here. So, what I also can do is I can use the Telnet utility, which is a Windows operating system there to make sure, well, let's see, it did come back. And I see here, it's saying that, oh, the agent The name of my agent responded with agent not available. So let's see. I'm going to use Telnet, again, because I want to connect to the remote host to see if I can. And then I'm going to use the CTM qprod -win2. And I want to see if I could connect to that port. Now, how do I know which port to use? Well, this is saying the server to agent port number is 7806, so I'm going to use that. I immediately get a Telnet connection to address. The connection refused. Okay, well, let's see here. What I can also do is I'm going to bring up another command prompt. I'm going to right-click and run this as administrator, because maybe there's something else going on here. Again, because my agent is running on this system, I'm going to use the netstat command to see if that 7806 is actually listening. So let's see here. I'm going to do netstat -an, and I'm going to pipe it to find because I want to filter out the information. Use my quotes, 7806, and when I hit enter, nothing came back. So now when I look at the status here or this information, now I see, okay, I use operating system utilities and control M utilities, and then I see it finally came back and showing that, oh, well, my services aren't running here. Let's see. So that means I'm going to have to start my services. What I'll do is go to my, if you're on Windows, I'm going to go to my services applet, and that will be on tools and administrative tools there. But I have this open. I'm going to highlight my agent. I'm just going to start the service. That should take a few seconds, which it started. So now I'm going to hit the up arrow again, run my ag_diag_com, and now that came back. Okay, great. So now let me go check here. I'm thinking everything should be okay. See, just to double check, I'm going to hit the up arrow, see if I can connect on the other side. You guys make sure you can see that. So I'm running the CTM_diag_com with my agent's name, CTM qprod -win2. I hit enter. That should come back in a few seconds. Now, what I also notice is I get another message. I get, unfortunately, it's showing that it's still failing. The CTMS ping to agent or remote host has failed, but I could have sworn that the ports I was looking at matched, but I'm looking below that it throws an error. The agent name, CTMQprod-Win2, responded with host CTMQprod is not authorized. Please add CTMQprod to authorized servers list. Okay, let me take a look back at my agent. Okay, let's see. I show here, make sure you guys can see that. I have a server host name, which is my CTMQprod. Then I have my authorized server host name, which is, I see it's misconfigured, it looks like, BMC Dev 1. Well, let me explain. The server to host name, this is the host name where the current Control-M server submits jobs to the Control-M agent. The authorized servers to host name, well, this defines the backup Control-M server, which will be replaced in case if there's a failure of the primary control M server. So what the message is stating is that we have not authorized our primary control M server to to send jobs or requests to this agent. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to run the command on the problematic agent ctm agcfg, which is control M agent configuration. I'm going to choose option 4, which is my authorized control M server host. I'm going to enter the correct value. And again, to make sure I'm entering the correct value, which should be ctmqprod, I'm going to just minimize this for a moment. Here we look at the server, ctms, local IP host interface name, ctmqprod. So that's the value I like to enter, ctmqprod. I hit enter. Now, whenever you make changes here, you want to save. So I'm going to hit S for save. And to know that I saved it, it says saving of configuration table, config succeeded, and then saving of configuration table when succeeded. So now I'm going to hit Q to quit. And I'm going to run the AG_diag_com again. Okay, we show that everything's running, succeeded. Now on the control M server, I'm going to hit the up arrow to run my ctm_diag_com with my agent name, ctmqprod-win2. I hit enter. Now that came back pretty good there. Let's see, I show here agent is available. Let's see, let me run that again. And okay. So now we're going to switch back to our presentation. Okay. Now, just a high overview of what we covered there is that we talked about the Control M communications diagnostics. We also mentioned about the AG_diag_com and the CTM_diag_com. As far as the agent debug, what we want you to understand is sometimes I'll get a case and I may need deeper analysis of the problem, so I'll ask the customer to kindly place the agent in debug mode. So for example, AG DBG LVL, agent debug level 0, that means that the agent's debug level is off, but usually we'll ask to put it in level 4. That's enough for us to see what's happening there. We mentioned about the Control M agent configuration utility. We also talked about or briefly explored the Control M configuration manager. We also looked at the network diagnostic tools you can use outside of Control M. And we also mentioned about the protocol version there. So I'd like to thank you for attending, and I hope you found the info helpful.